Let's welcome the panelists for this wonderful panel, which will give us the insights of the right ethical deployment of artificial intelligence across the healthcare systems. A huge round of applause for Mr. Vinay Mehta, CEO, 𝗖𝗀𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, IIT Delhi Foundation, Mr. Swapan Agarwal, Industry Leader, Healthcare and Life Sciences, CIC India, IBM Consulting, and Mr. Arun Goyal, CIO, 𝗤𝗲𝗀𝗃𝗃 Hospital. This session will be moderated by Dr. 𝗗𝗲𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗃, Partner Healthcare, Maven Ventures. A huge round of applause, everyone.
I hope everyone has just settled down after lunch. So maybe just get to know each other a little bit first. So how many people have actually, just take a quick understanding of the audience, how many people have actually worked with AI in the past, at least recent past? Okay, that's a good number. And how many people have actually worked in the sense from scratch in terms of building an AI? That's good to know. So here, if you look at AI, some of us have worked with it. I'll actually like to start with the panel members here, because some of us have actually worked ground up from building the India stack onwards. So it is not just about theoretical aspects of AI that we'll be talking about today. The challenges that we have faced, number one. Number two, in terms of building what is required so that there is better adoption of AI going forward. So I'd like to start with an introduction from our side, starting with...
Good afternoon. My name is Swapan Agarwal. DHN, thanks for having me here. I work for IBM as an industry leader for healthcare and life sciences. Over 25 years in the industry, so I've worked across healthcare providers, peers, and pharma life sciences. So that's the perspective I bring it here.
I'm Vinay Mehta. I'm the CEO of Technology Innovation Hub at IIIT Delhi in Okhla. And I have 30 plus years of experience in technology development. I myself have developed around 30 plus technologies and have worked in healthcare IT for a long time, for about 12 years now. And recently, we have around 52 startups with us. Out of that, there are 34 in healthcare domain. And out of those 34, I think 20 plus are using, AI either in their devices, the medtech devices, or software as a medical device. So I'll bring that perspective of, how startups in India or in this region are, coming up with the AI solutions and what challenges they are facing. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Arun Goyal. I'm CIO and Director with 𝗤𝗲𝗃𝗃 Hospital. And in healthcare technology, I'm there for last 15 years and worked in AI in many of the organizations, and in currently working on some of the projects in the hospital on AI.
Thank you. Myself, I'm Dr. Nanda. I qualified as a medical doctor a long time ago, in 97, and nosedived into a technology career for the past 27 years. So started off with programming, moved on to data science and more, ended up handling P&L. Also ran two startups, managed innovation in different companies such as EY, TCS, Google, primarily in the US and in India as well. I currently am a partner in healthcare at Maven Ventures, where there's a heavy focus on innovations in healthcare. So, when we look from our experience, you could have understood, that we're not just talking about the theoretical aspect, but then in terms of the implementation and something else that we're just going to talk about in terms of patterns. If you look at, the patterns across healthcare or AI in general, the continuum of care, in the sense that you have, let's say, pre-diagnosis, which is usually occupied by telemedicine, consultation, solutions. Then comes, diagnosis. Again, diagnostic solutions come in there. Then treatment, which is usually, there's a surgical equipments, pathology, and so on. And then comes post-treatment. That is for follow-ups. Now, the risk increases as you go from the left to right. With risk in the sense, the clinical risk, the market risk, technology risk, all of that increases. That's one pattern. The second pattern is something that we already know, in the sense we all see all of these media things about LLMs, Anthropic, OpenAI, huge investments going in that space. And then what if you really know that if you've been in the space, you notice that these go up and then they come down. It's a hype cycle. All on average, it's around 5 years in terms of time. And it becomes very critical to identify what is the difference between reality and that hype. And this is where we ask ourselves, 3 questions. What is it that we are going to do? A lot of people have data. What do you do with the data becomes a question. Second, how do we address that question? There's what are the kind of data, what are the kind of algorithms that you apply? Could be a k-means, could be a cluster algorithm, and so on, so that we achieve that outcome. Could be a clinical outcome, could be a business outcome. Last comes the most important point, the question of why are we doing it? And that leads to usually, let's say, value in terms of clinical or a business outcome. And that's what the industry calls as a so what. So this particular area is what we're going to address today in terms of what we call as the use case. And use cases are very important because that decides whether a hype will become a reality going forward. So I'll start with Swapan in terms of understanding this. You've been on the healthcare as well as on the life sciences side. So there is a difference in adoption of AI between this. Could you comment on those aspects? Is there a common area, or is it that pharma is, let's say, is addressing AI in a different way? What is it that can be replicated between the two?
Yeah, that's a great question. And actually, this is the differentiation that happens between industries. So if you look at AI and Gen AI adoption, I think what companies basically look for is, would a technology help in their bottom line improvement or a top line, right? Healthcare providers or doctors or hospitals, diagnostic centers, primarily at this time, they are looking at AI, Gen AI for optimization, process optimization, and productivity. However, when you come to pharma life sciences, it is not only about optimization, process, and bottom line improvement. They are actually using AI, Gen AI for top line. It is helping in their, bringing products faster to the market. You talk about Gen AI being used in molecule discovery, bringing a product faster to the market by using regulatory improvements in the using Gen AI. So these are the things that are helping pharma life sciences companies bring more revenue to the company.
Right. So I guess the message that I'm getting from that is that in pharma, there is a higher probability for use cases which addresses customers, and in healthcare, it may be just picking up. That's the message that I get. And to you, sir, in the sense, if you take it the same thing, in the sense, you've been in that place, that intersection between industry, academia, and startups as well. And for startups, it may be, let's say, a quicker way to use AI by leveraging LLMs, right? But when you're in that triangle, what are the challenges that you see from the startups space, or between corporates and startups, which can, let's say, ease the adoption or build new use cases?
Right. Thank you. That's a good question. And my answer is that right now, we have startup world or the startup ecosystem separate in India. I'm talking about India separate, and the corporate world separate. I mean, per se, not that, every corporate is involved with the startups. There are a few corporates who are kind of, they have their own innovation departments or, who are talking to the startups, but most of them are not actually, right? So startups are finding, as you said, the use cases, right? So that's where the unmet need is there, or where the valid use case, that problem statement, they're picking it up and seeing, okay, how we can use AI to solve this. And there are many startups who have done an excellent job, like I was talking to Mr. Goyal earlier, in the EMR stuff. And we also have a few startups, who have, developed products which ease the, data flowing into EMR through voice bots or, the chat bots and, OCR, things into the and then integrated into the existing workflows of the hospitals, right? But what is really needed is a very tight integration of the, corporate world and the startups, in the sense like 𝗕𝗵𝗀 told in the morning, they have got an innovation, department or a lab or strategy thing which he is heading, right? And which has capability to invest in those startups. So right from the beginning, if you are working with those startups and they are, helping you solve your particular use cases, that will make a great synergy, between these two ecosystems and lead to a much explosive growth of this whole innovation system within India, right? That's what I feel. And that's where we are trying to bridge the gap. Like I am approaching the government departments or government ministries. I am approaching the corporates on behalf of the startups. Then we're also approaching some corporates for the CSR funding, because most of the startups right now using AI, they are into the screening thing, because that's the easiest way to get into. That's a low-hanging fruit, because you really can't get into the diagnostic thing using AI right now, because the regulatory framework is too tight over there, right? So we're starting the screening thing, and then, slowly we will get into the higher level decision making by those systems, which can assist the doctors to take informed decisions.
Thank you. Now, if you take the same question and 𝗏𝗀𝘀 sir, if you address that in the sense, when you look at startups, I'm sure there is a very high level of interest amongst corporates for startups. Some of them may address a particular use case, but what are the challenges that you see from a corporate side, number one? Number two, in the sense, the degree of maturity of every organization varies. Some may be, let's say, just exploring to understand. Some may actually be reach a level of maturity where they know exactly what they want. The third category may be a level of maturity where they have assigned some budget. Do you think that startups should look at the business value first, or the clinical value first, or both together? Your comments would be very helpful.
Thank you, Nan. So I'll take a question first. Is the challenges we are facing on implementation of the AI in the healthcare. So first challenge comes the data purity. So until unless you have a data hygiene available, the AI implementation will not be that successful. So you need to take steps and take measures to refine the data and make sure your data is standard and data is available for the AI implementation. That's a major area and major challenge across the industry where we don't have that much standard data available to implement upon for the AI. So far as the AI implementation is concerned and take on the AI implementation by the corporates or to the hospital and the fraternity is, we need to know that what is our requirement and what are the use cases for the AI implementation. We are not implementing the AI just for the sake of implementation, for take of the implementation of the AI. So until unless we identify our use case and the requirement where we want to implement the AI and what outcome and what objective we are setting up to achieve. So there are two areas in the hospital where you can explore to implement the AI is. One is the operational area where you can achieve the operational efficiency. Second is the clinical, of course. So in clinical area where the clinical decision support system, CDSS tools are already available. So with the amalgamation of the AI, you can improve the CDSS level, CDSS, and take the clinical decisions to the next level. Second area is in the pathology or the radiology where AI can improve, AI can contribute in the decisions. Recently, I came across in one of the discussions where I came to know that in one of the hospital in Hyderabad, they came across one of the patient where in the MRI they identify a cyst, and the clinician thought that this patient was not having any symptoms. Even in the reports, in the MRI reports and current report, there was no correlation between why this cyst got developed. And he sent across radiologist, the top radiologist, and tried to explore why in the previous slide it was not there and now it is seen. Then at a later stage, he fed that thing into the AI and came to know in the previous slide that there was a probability of developing the cyst which radiologist eyes could not detect it. So these type of AI intervention could improve the clinical decision support system and make sure that clinical care can improve. with the implementation of
Right, that's a good point. We touched upon data as a starting point, and I think that's the most important point, is to isolate that level of, or that quantum of data which has enough critical mass to lead to a use case. Now, if it, and that IBM, I mean, that is one of your strengths, right? And do you find that an area that companies should address? Is IBM doing anything in that space with corporates, which can also help the larger ecosystems, working with startups and so on?
So I'm here in the personal capacity, so I'll not talk for IBM here.
Sure.
In generally, companies, the service companies are addressing this concern already. There are platforms available which are made for data AI ingestion, data AI governance, and how you ingest this data, how you use this data, what kind of data should be put into the AI models platforms is all very, very important, especially for this healthcare and life sciences industry. Consider this, I mean, this Gen AI as such is something, when we talk about AI today, most of it is around Gen AI, right? And about agentic AI. What goes into Gen AI, agentic AI is only 10 to 30% of data as structured data.
Yes.
More than 70% data is unstructured, right? And when that amount of unstructured data comes in, you don't even know what is the source of the data. Is it even valid data? Is it safe to be put into the system? Forget about security. Data security is separate. I mean, there's a lot of things that come into picture. And that's what it makes it important to put in data governance platform, data governance mechanism around what goes into the AI, especially for this industry.
Right. I think now if we take the same thing in the sense, so you have actually worked with grassroots level, tier 2, tier 3 cities as well. See, most of us, or let's say at least when I have conversations, the thing is, okay, all that is possible in the metros. And could you give your insights on what is happening in tier 2, tier 3 cities with respect to AI?
Yeah, actually, that's a very valid question. And if we have to, make our healthcare affordable and accessible to everybody, I think that 65% of the population, rural population, has to be, included in this AI stuff. And I would say, the best case of AI in use is when AI is proactive, and it can help take early decisions by the doctors, actually, right? And so proactive is like, yesterday I was reading in a news that Cambridge startup has come up with a device. It's a camera. It takes 1800 shots in a second of your foot and ankle, and within 10 minutes it's going to tell you whether you're going to have whether you have a risk of a major heart event in next 13 months. So that's the kind of thing which needs to be made accessible to the tier 2, tier 3 kind of cities here. And most of our startups are being encouraged to go to the rural areas. I've also personally connected these startups to the entrepreneurs in rural areas. But the need of the hour is incentivization of startups to go into the rural areas. Just like we in India have, the doctor shortage, the clinician shortage in rural areas, because there are no incentives to the clinicians to go out there, right? Similarly, we are pumping in so much of money. 52,000 crores government has already invested in startups since last decade, actually, last decade, right? So we need to have some incentives for the startups who go to the rural areas and who are screening people in rural areas, so that, this stream of continuous innovation can go into those areas wherein, we could have, people getting benefited for it. Yeah.
Right. You're talking about incentives. Incentives has been, let's say, a driver to adoption of different technologies, particularly on the hospital side. If you look at the US, the adoption of EMR was driven because of incentives. But in India, the scene is very different. Without incentives, there are many strategies, thanks to our way of thinking, which has led to an increase in adoption. So could you talk about, what are the strategies or, steps that you took which drove adoption of not just AI, but also other adjacent technologies in the hospital?
See, the technology adoption is something which I look differently. My way of technology adoption and implementation is the ease of user. So until unless user is comfortable, until unless end user is the end user don't find any hassle in adopting and using the technology, he will never adopt it, be it clinician or any other user. So in our hospital, in my hospital, what happened, we tested all the technologies, the conventional EMR adoption, conventional keyboard entries of the patient data, that got failed. We implemented OCR technology into the hospital, that got failed. We used sound to text conversion, EMR implementation with the doctors. Every doctor has got a different dialect, different way of conversing to the patient. That got failed, and across the hospital we could not implement it. Of late, we came across one startup which came up with a AI-based technology which is scanning the conventional prescription of the doctor and converting into the digital format. Only thing which we required was some 20-25 prescription, handwritten prescription of the clinician fed into AI, so that AI gets trained of recognizing the handwriting of that particular doctor and convert it into the digital format and the format which we required as per the standards. So every pre-analytical, analytical, test, medicine, prescription, everything, diagnosis, etc. is going in a proper format, in the proper place into the prescription, digital prescription. And this digital prescription is getting converted post this scanning in maximum 30 seconds. And then it is going to the patient on the WhatsApp along with the digital format and the original handwritten prescription inserted on this particular format. So patient, if has got any confusion at a later stage or is consulting or showing to any other clinician for the second opinion, can see both the format, the digital format and the original prescription of the doctor. So there is no confusion on it. And then later on, we have integrated this with our HIS. So at a subsequent stage, we can use this for the second consultation, and you need not to even scan for, because you already have that data. You just edit it and integrating into the HIS. So what I just wanted to say here is that because we have not changed in this case the doctor's behavior, he is conventionally writing the prescription to the patient. He is behaving conventionally and not changing any behavior while adopting this particular technology. It became more popular in hospital, and every doctor is coming and getting it implemented at their OPDs.
I think the simple message is finally again value or the ease of use. Now in terms of time, I think we are going towards the end. So I'll just end up with one lightning question to all of us, that being the same question. If you look at, let's say, the top 3 use cases, could be in LLMs or Gen AI or not, what would be the top 3 use cases that you think would be of interest to the country or to it?
So the top of the line use case in my mind for hospitals is going to something which is going to start from what I heard in the recent past in this forum only. There's a lot of ambient listening solutions coming up. Dr. 𝗕𝗶𝗶𝘀 spoke about this. I heard it is also getting implemented in India. When you start, so first of all, what is the biggest problem today in today's Indian healthcare especially? You're not capturing the right amount of data, right? So you're talking about, you're capturing financial data, you're capturing all the process data, back office data, supply chain data, but where is the clinical data? I think the only data getting captured properly today is possibly the diagnostic data from the diagnostic labs, radiology labs. But what about the clinical data that is being produced in the inpatient setup, in the doctor's room? Where is that going? So I think we're losing out on that corpus. So sooner we realize this and use Gen AI to capture that, put that to use. One of the best way to use that is, like you said, OCR-based prescription capturing. That is one way. But if you're able to capture the conversation that is happening